decisions. And I think this will come more from the other students, their peers, than it will from us. But we as a community must support the student body as a whole and have a respectful discussion about better ways of participating in our community.
I don't see it as a real problem. I see it as that we have to work with the students, educating them on how to, I guess the relationship between the town and the university. We know that students come to university for 4 years. They're going to drink. They're going to have a good time. But I think they have to be respectful of the town that they live in. This is their town now. They're living here for 4 years. This is their town. So they have to bridge together with the town, the people that live in this town, and be respectful. I don't think nobody wants the students not to have a good time. We all want to have a good time, but do it respectfully. Don't start, peeing on someone's lawn. Just be respectful. And I don't think they're all that way. I think there's just a handful of that, and I think it's a little blown out of proportion. Thank you.
I would wholeheartedly agree that to name this as the student problem, it is a problem. I think to set up classes of citizens is never a good idea. And it's to discover together what it means to be in community. I think that's the key. And some of the things that I've learned in my time here is it's about establishing a relationship. In our street, which I call the best street in Wolfville on Iona Road, we've often had students by times. And interestingly, if you befriend those students, there's no problem. And there's a sense of, I'm here, you're here, we want to have a good time together. And it's not about me being disrespectful or you being disrespectful. And if you're going to have something that's going on, I'd appreciate a heads up. I think that's the key. And lastly, I'd like to say I am in favor of landlord regulation. I think having absentee landlords has created a number of problems in town. And we have more of a landlord problem than we have a student problem.
Hugh?
I could start this by saying, being there, done that. I was a problem child. You don't see us locking everybody up in jail or serving everybody with summary offenses. That is totally the wrong way to do it. I've talked to the RCMP. They know that too. They see it as a communication piece. Action Wolfville, started by our mayor, is a joint effort of the community, of residents of Acadia, town of Wolfville, students, to talk together, working out these issues, to ensure our community continues to be a great community. Communication, what are the rights? What is the noise bylaw? What are all of the pieces that we have in play? You can't put them all away. More interaction between us is necessary. I want to go to those classes that I have physical fitness and enjoy them and know the students. Thank you.
And Gary.
Thank you. I can recall back in 1980-81. It was my first year on the Wolfville Police Department. And I remember Chief Kennedy called me into the office. He said, Gary, this weekend's homecoming. We're going to have some student problems. And I said, Chief, what are you talking about, student problems? I'm a student. I haven't seen any problems. It's called listening to the concerns, communicating. I said, what do you suggest we do? He said, well, I would really appreciate if you went down and talked to the director of athletics at Acadia, because some of those problems seem to be athletes. I said, now, Chief, now you're stereotyping. That's not right. But I will go down and speak to the director of athletics. And that weekend, I knew a number of athletes who were also members then of the student pool. They have their own police. So together, I worked with them on that weekend, and it was one of the best, quietest weekend we ever had. So again, we go back to a working relationship, listening, communicating. It just need time and patience and guidance. It's all we ask, we all get.
We have just enough time left that I'd like to offer everybody a 1-minute closing whatever argument, statement, and opportunity to answer or address any of the questions that weren't addressed to you. So we started with Keith at the beginning, so why don't we start with Jeff Cantwell and then work to this way, to my left. So Jeff?
Well, in closing, I would like to address the issue, the question that was just asked, and I think it's unfair to deal with it just as a student problem. I think landlords in town, as was mentioned, might be a landlord problem, have to be held to a higher standard. There are some landlords who are not residents of town. I am in favor of some type of arrangement where there would be, if you are not an in-town landlord, you would have to have a property manager identified. So if there's an issue of, be it garbage or noise, there would be somebody, an agent in town, in which they could touch base and try to remedy that. In that higher standard, I also believe that if some of those properties were held up to a higher standard, taken care of, a little more respect, a little more dignity in the community, the lawn was mowed, they were cleaned up, that would then allow the tenant an opportunity to reflect their own level of respect, and there might be more community cooperation.
Thank you. Gary?
I guess I just want to say that I appreciate the trust you've given me in the past, and I ask for your endorsement on October the 20th, and I will work hard on your behalf and meet the new challenges that face us. Thanks for your time this evening.
We had a question on governance. I'm going to address it. A well-governed municipality is not just an efficient in delivering services. It needs to be responsive to public needs, public concerns. Governance is more than the nuts and bolts of core services. It extends to the processes of government, how we interrelate with our citizens. In order to do this, we must remain committed to working collaboratively with our citizens groups and other municipalities. I accept as true that Council's agenda must be an accurate reflection of the goals, priorities, and aspirations of our citizens. Public consultation and citizen engagement is key and vital to our common success.
Well, municipal government doesn't get very much respect. But if the water didn't flow through the taps, if the toilets didn't flush, if our roads were piled up with snow and our taxes doubled, believe me, we'd all really be paying attention. With that in mind, I do respect municipal government. I'd like council to be active and interested and thinking about as many issues as it can within its purview. Early in the term of council, we all need to set priorities. I really think that one of those priorities should be continuing to look for efficiencies to free up funds. I'd like council to be open. I may have been the exception, the person who stayed, but I think there should be more of us. I would love every one of us here to at least drop in on one council meeting. And finally, I'd really like to continue to have council be respectful, building on each other's ideas. Thank you.
I'm going to briefly address the student problem question briefly. First of all, phrasing it in that kind of way is the problem. I mean, there is no student problem. There are students that live here. Students are at a different time in their life than people who aren't students, and they want different things. They expect different things from their town, and that can be a problem if there's an us versus them mentality. But if we just both recognize that we both live here, and we're both going to live here for the foreseeable future of Wolfville, all of those small problems and issues can be smoothed over without any huge flare-ups or without any big problems, I guess to say. That being said, I appreciate the chance to meet all of you. I'm not an incumbent. I haven't run before, so a lot of you don't know me very well, and I appreciate the chance to get to talk to you and to see all of your faces. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll take this minute to talk about something very near and dear to my heart, and that is the preservation of the heritage nature of our downtown. Part of that is, as was mentioned before, property standards. Those of us who live in that part of town, if we do renovations on our home, we have to meet certain standards, and yet we have properties often owned by